ongoing so far. What's the budget?
I wouldn't speak to that now. The reason for that is simple. The budget, as I speak, once we prepare the budget, it has to be verified and approved by the Ministry of Finance.
So the budget has not been prepared?
It has been prepared. It has been
sent.
If
it's been prepared, that means there are figures.
That's what I'm saying. We cannot put out those figures because they are yet to be approved by the Ministry of Finance.
So
you know we are living.
Even though Ministry of Finance hasn't approved, what do you have in the budget that you're going to be presenting to finance?
As I sit here at the moment, I wouldn't speak to that because I don't have the figures. So maybe what I would do, perhaps towards the end of this program, we are on communication. I will just send a communication to the account department to furnish me that information. And once that information comes, we'll just let it out. But again, what we need to know is that whatever budgets we have to prepare, it has to be verified and approved by the Ministry of Finance. So what the Ministry of Finance approves remains the final budget.
That's well noted, Eric. Yeah. But it would also, for accountability and public interest,
this is something we will do.
It would also be good that the public knows what NSA is proposing to the Ministry of Finance. So you could do us a favor while we're here to probably just send a message to someone to get the figures. So before we end the program, the public would know the figures being proposed to Ministry of Finance by NSA.
All right, so we also have several options to do that. The last budget for the last World Cup matches, we are not under any pressure. Nobody asked us a question in the press conference. Mark you, before the team departs.
That doesn't stop us here from asking that question.
I agree entirely. And this is just one of the options. So what I can assure you, either be here now or before the team departs, we would have to make the budget known to the people of this country, as we've always done. I mean, with no pressure. The last budget was announced by the executive director in the press conference that this is the budget we are taking. So we have several options. The NSA too has its own media platform by way of sending out press releases, public notices, by way of press conferences. So we have several options. So either we do it here now, as we are seated here, as I'll be sending out the communication, or we do it hereafter. But what I will assure you is that we have to make the budget known to the people of this country before the team departs.
Your new boss, Dr. Safar Abdullahi, has been very, we had him here not too long after his appointment to that position. And one of the things he's particular about is saving the country some money in the area of the delegation we send for the matches. Sierra Leone, like many other African countries, has been very notorious. The people who actually go to do the work are in minority on the list of delegates. Those who go for whatever reasons are much more than the players and the technical team. What's the progress in that area? Because AFCON is just around the corner and the expectation is the usual. People's names would be on the list too. You would wonder, what business do they have traveling to watch the matches?
All right, so like you said, the drive of the executive director, Dr. Safar, is what we call value for money. Whatever amount goes out, there must be justification, there must be value for that money. And since it came less than or within 4 months, we'll be able to present and to manifest that. So we gave huge amounts of money to the Leone Stars, to the national football team, or huge amounts of money was spent on them on the last edition of our 2 matches against Djibouti and Burkina Faso respectively. For the World Cup, for the very first time in the history of this country, after a very, very, very long time, we brought in 4 points out of the 2 matches. That is what we call value for money. We didn't go, we didn't bring points. So our aim was to get 6 points, but we are able to bring 4 points. That has positioned us in a better footing for the World Cup qualifiers. So that is value for money. We gave money to, how do I call it, gymnastics. They went to Azerbaijan. For the first time in the history of this country, single sport brought 20 gold medals. We are talking about 20 gold medals. It is not like in the previous, we go, we try to, but next time, better up next time. It was not like better up next time. They brought medals. We gave money to single leg. They went to Egypt to compete in the African single leg football tournament. They were crowned fair play team of the tournament. That is not competitive a result, but they brought in honor. So it tells that we are having what we call value for money. We sponsored the Sierra Leone beach volleyball. They had their national championship in Kenya, and those who were selected out of that tournament, they went to Ghana. They went and represent Sierra Leone in an international competition. They defeated Ghana. They won gold. As I speak, they are now in China. That is value for money. We also gave financial support to Sierra Leone Boxing Association. They invited international boxers from England, and they'll be going for the return leg. These are all what we call value for money. All of these monies we spent, we are able to get to maximize the results which we are looking forward to. This is just the beginning. In terms of delegation, sometimes we have to do our research very, very well. I have always said this. The Sierra Leone national football team, my colleague will agree with me or otherwise, I know you agree. In most cases, we take the least number of delegation out. This is out of research. When we go out, the last time we travel, I spoke to Isaac, who is the communication.
Benchmark? How do you determine who should be on the list of delegates and who shouldn't? What qualifies an individual to be on that list?
Okay, so in the first place, whilst I will just make attempt to say a few things on that. My colleague IBK, I will actually allow him to speak detail on that. What I will tell you, what I will tell you.
You know why
yeah,
it would be more of you saying something on that than him? Because they factor their cost and send to you. You, as an institution, do your own vetting and editing before you present to finance.
That is what I'm saying.
So
Not
based
that
on the
an
decision
idea.
that you make, again, from the premise of your new executive director and his commitment to save cost by reducing the number of people who fly unnecessarily for these games.
Okay.
So there obviously is a strategy, a benchmark or criteria at NSA that you would use to determine whose names would remain and whose you would yank off the list.
I agree
so
entirely.
tell us that,
I agree entirely.
criteria.
So the premises I'm laying here is the fact that, one, the executive director and his hardworking team, we've already committed ourselves to that. The last delegation list that went for the two matches against Djibouti and that of Ivory Coast was far more reduced compared to previous. That's just the premises.
Yeah, but it still has not spoken to what you use as consideration
That is what,
to determine who's there and who's out of the list.
That is what I'm speaking to. But before speaking to that, it's also important for Sierra Leoneans to know that we've already taken action against that before coming to this one. So, for example, if we are going for a tournament, we are talking about double headers, 2 matches to play. And so the least number of players that is expected by standard, by CAF standard, you would have to take 23 players. You have the option to go above 23, but 23 players is what you are going to take along. You cannot compromise 23 players. You cannot. And the reason for that is we are expecting the team to play as a full, to train as a full field. You have to have 11 players here, 11 players here, and then you have 1 reserve player in case of any substitution, just for training purposes in the first place. Because you cannot go and train half a field with lesser player. It's not part of the game. Yeah. And during the match situation, you expect people naturally to pick up injuries. You expect cards, suspension. You expect natural occurrences, sicknesses to occur. So it is important that you take at least 23 players as by mandate. You don't have the option to take it beyond 23 or otherwise. And when you come to the technical staff, you have a laydown. You cannot go to games without the head coach, without the assistant head coach, without the goalkeeper coach, without the team medical, without this, without this. So these are all statutory layoff. So in terms of the benchmark we use, we have to look at, for example, SLFA is taking, or we are taking 23 players. That is fixed. It's not compromised, at least. We are taking this number of technical people. It's fixed. You cannot compromise.
That has not been the case for Sierra Leone.
How do you mean?
We've seen situations wherein people who even don't matter in the game, people who even don't have anything to adopt to the game. Of course, the evidences are just there.
That's what I'm saying.
To land on the benchmark.
So that is what we are saying. So for every
member
member that travels to the, for example, let me go to the NSA's perspective point of view. Let me start from there. The executive director is the head of sports, technical head of sport in this country, supervised by the Ministry of Sports. So it is what's important that the executive director travels to the team. His presence alone is huge motivation to the team. That is
no
one.
argument on that one.
Thank you very much. When you go to disbursement of monies, hotel bills, other expenditure, players' allowances, other people's allowances, it is paid by the government of Sierra Leone through the NSA's accountant. So it's important that somebody from the account section of the National Sports Authority travels to the team. That should not be done by the executive director. We have what we call division of labor. When it comes to information dissemination to members of the public, it is important that somebody from the NSA, specifically, and somebody from the how will I call it, from the SLFA, travels to the team. So these are the number that make up this delegation. Sometimes we say this delegation is large, and of course, the football association is headed by the president. It's headed by people. For example, you have the director of competition. We are going to play competition with other people. And in this competition, sometimes you have to send a lot of correspondences. So if it's, for example, you have the head of competition, as the case may be, would you say it's not justifiable? where a lot of correspondents are going to be sent to his department relating to that competition. We are talking about the president for the Sierra Leone Football Association, for example, who is the president, who is the face for football in this country. When he travels to the team, he has a lot of motivation around the team. So when we say this delegation is huge, in our own estimation, I will also say to you that in as much as the executive director has decided to reduce the number for which we've already started, it's also important we speak to the fact that in most cases, we take along the least delegation.